And listen to this: 2 Olympic golds, 1 silver, 2 World Cup championships, and 3 bronzes, in addition to, as I said, the most caps of all time with 354, 130 goals, and 106 assists. Plus, she's mom to 2 adorable girls, Sydney and Jordan. Kristine Lilly, when you sit back, Lil, I'm just going to call you Lil, sorry.
That's fine.
When you sit back and you look back on all your achievements and those medals,
yeah,
what are you most proud of?
Oh gosh, this question I get all the time, and I feel like I have a different answer every time I do it. But I think the one answer I always give, the most appreciative or proud of, just the opportunity to play for the 23 years, and with the players. So it wasn't just, being on the soccer field and playing soccer. It was playing with these people, representing my country, traveling the world, impacting people's lives that you didn't realize, and just, trying to be the best that you could be to help your team be successful.
And I like that you have a different answer every single time because it's authentic. So thank you for that. What was it about soccer and about how your parents supported your journey that really allowed you to have so much success on the field?
Yeah, I think my brother and I talk about this. The one thing I think our parents did a great job of is they let us try everything. And they said, okay, if you want to try this sport, I tried piano. And they just said, if you try something, you have to finish it. You can't quit. So we had to push through whatever we liked or didn't like, and push through till the end of it. I took piano lessons, and I didn't like my teacher, and I hated practicing, but I had to finish out, the requirement I did. And to this day, I still wish I kept doing piano, because I would love to be able to just rock out something for my kids. But they didn't push us into it. They just, guided us. And the thing with soccer, they grew up in New York City. They were oblivious to the game of soccer. My dad was a baseball-minded guy. Baseball was my first love. I thought I was going to play that one day. And my mom didn't know much about it. So they weren't the parents that were on the sideline, this and that. My dad did yell a lot because he knows sports. So we thought he knew everything about soccer. So he's like, well, you got to go this way. You stop going to your left because you're lefty. You go to the right. But they weren't pushing to this, having me a trainer. None of that existed when I was younger, or, go play on this team, go there. They just was like, okay, we'll watch you play, and we'll see what happens. And I can remember the day I found out that I got asked to join the national team at 16. They asked me, and I was like, shit, I got to ask my parents. So I call home, and I'm like, Mom and Dad, I got asked to join the U.S. Women's National Team, and they want me to go on a trip to China in August, like in 2 weeks. They're like, okay. And then back of my head, I'm like, you're letting your 16-year-old daughter go to China with people you don't even know. And I still this day laugh at that. But that's how oblivious. And they were like, oh, great. That's the next thing you want to do? Go ahead.
So they were super supportive, and they held you accountable. So they wouldn't allow you to kind of give up on whatever it was you were trying. And I feel like my parents were the same way. Now, here's the thing. Are you doing that with your daughters?
I'm trying to be supportive and letting them try things. And, we're encouraging to do everything. And they're playing, just finished soccer. They're doing basketball. They've been doing gymnastics. But I want them to try so many different things to see what they love. And I told both my girls play soccer, and I'm coaching them. And I said, if you don't want to play soccer, it's really okay. They're like, no, Mom, we want to. It's okay. So hopefully, obviously, I'm not forcing them, and I hope they don't feel forced. I hope they're just loving what they're doing and finding the passion that they want to follow, because we'll love it no matter what.
Are you coaching both of them?
I am more so Sydney, my oldest, and Jordan, I'm just getting into coaching her. And I have to, because she's like, Mom, you're always at Sydney stuff or this. I'm like, I know.
I think that's so special that you are coaching your daughters. I think it's really important. What's been your favorite part of it?
I think just being there, being around it. And I tried being the parent on the sideline and watching my oldest be coached and play. And then I was looking at some of the decisions the coach was doing, and I'm like, oh, I think I could help. Not saying I'm right, but I think I could help. And there's not a lot of females that are coaching these kids. So I'm like, I need to do that. There's no reason I should be sitting over here when I can offer help. Not saying I'm the answer to it, but I like to assist everyone because then I can help a couple different teams. And yeah, but I think I love watching them play. I don't care what it is. It's so much fun to see them out there, trying whatever it is they want to.
Well, I love that. What lessons did you learn from playing that you want to pass along to your daughters?
The main lesson I learned, I think, or the biggest lesson I learned from the national team is that you're never alone, and I didn't get to the national team by myself. So I try to share with not just my daughters, but to the girls I'm coaching is, hey, we need each other. You gotta help each other, whether it is, grabbing their sweatshirt if they forgot it, or, saying it's okay, or helping them off the ground. But we need each other, and you need people around you to help you be successful. You have to do the work, and that's what I tell my kids. I mean, you got to work hard. I go, if you want to make this team, it's not just going to happen. You got to put the effort in, and then when you're there, you got to build your team up and support them, and be a leader and a good teammate to them.
And I do think that, obviously it does take a village, and that's one of the best parts of being a part of a team. But, one of the things that I always admired with you is like your first touch and your vision on the field. And when it comes to like a comfort level on the ball and being able to understand the game, what exactly helped you to get to that point?
Oh, a lot. I mean, I think year and time. And I can, when I look back to the early years, this is like the late 80s and 90s when I was young on the team, we didn't really get together as much as the teams do now, or even it's when we were playing together. So you had to do a lot of the stuff on your own. So I was at my high school, my field house, with this huge field house, and all I would do was kick the ball against the wall over and over. And then I practiced receiving it with my turns. So I was always trying to work on my touch the best that I could. And finding any environment to play. I mean, I played in the professional league indoor in 1995 just to get games because we didn't have anywhere to play with a bunch of guys. So I had to be quicker because they were faster, stronger, and quicker. So I had to make sure my touch was on and play quickly. So just try to find different places to help that, to hone the skills, to make them tight and clean, and that built my confidence up. So when I stepped in with the national team or any level, I was feeling good.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny, Lil, because I was looking at your bio and I went back and I saw that you played in the men's league, and I'm like, I did not know that about Lil. I thought that was amazing. I'm like, look at her. She would.
It was like for 2 months. It was just the summer. I can't say I played the whole time, but it was more to train than it was to play.
Yeah, but I'm sure you learned a lot from that. As far as like obviously repetition is huge, and being around the ball as much as possible, you could tell. But as far as like your vision of the game and understanding the game, where did that come from?
Yeah, I think some of that's just, God given stuff that you have. I think it's playing other sports.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family that was very sports oriented. I mean, like I said, baseball was the first love, but we watched, football, baseball on TV. My dad always loved watching boxing, and I hated it. But there's always things around us we were watching. And then I was outside with my brother and my cousins, which were all boys. We played football in the yard, any sport you could play in the yard, and I'd get my butt kicked. But I had to figure out ways to be able to be out there. And that's the part I do wonder a little bit now that I'm coaching, is the understanding of the game, because a lot of kids don't have this understanding, and I'm trying to figure out where the missing element is. And maybe it is going to the yard and playing with friends, because everything's so organized. It's not like we just met somewhere and just played pickup of some sort. It's so organized for the kids. So I'm not sure if they're missing the creativity of being a referee and calling a foul, or making their own teams, So, or they're just, I don't know. But I think some of it was given, and then some of it was just playing other sports and the environment that I grew up in.
You never got tired. So how did fitness play a really important piece to your overall success?
Right. Well, I think I was just doing a Zoom talk about a part of this too. And the fitness was like the core backbone of my career. And I think when I was a young player on the national team, I remember having a conversation with Anson Dorrance, who was the coach at the time. And he was kind of disappointed in the training that took place during a camp we had in December, right around the holidays. He said the players weren't fit. And I was like, oh, well, it's the holidays, da, da, da. And he's like, well, you have to make fitness a part of your life. And I'm like 18. I'm like, oh, whatever, you know. But I think that stuck in my brain. And it was just something that became part of my life. Betsy, you know, you were top fitness on our team as well. I mean, I think me and you were running against each other most of the time at the end of like the beat test. But it just became a part of me, but it also gave me the confidence.
Right.
So if I was fit and I stepped out on the field, if my passes stunk or if I was missing the goal but I knew I could work hard, and that gave me the confidence to be out there. And if other people weren't working hard, I knew that I could be on that field and do that. So the fitness really was, and just enabled me to be able to do more. And I think that was the big deal. And that's why I had a hard time when people weren't fit, because I'm like, how do you not just go run? Like, you know what the tests are going to be, just do it. It's a mental thing, and you can build your mental strength by just doing it over and over again. And it just was something that really enabled me, I think, to have the career and length that I did have.
Yeah. And I can't agree more with you and how important it is. And it really does come down to mentality, and it really does translate to like just being able to go out in the field and just focus on your playing, and how important that really is. What other kind of things did you value that kind of helped to add to your longevity?
Well, I think I had to love what I was doing. I loved it. I loved playing for the national team. I mean, I know you did as well. It's a special place, and not everyone gets there. So it's something that you really appreciate and are grateful for the opportunity. I loved what I was doing. I also enjoyed the people I was around. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to, not just individually, I wanted our team to win every time. So I wanted to step out on that field and see what I could do to help our team be successful. I love to compete. I think what I miss most is the teammates and stepping on the field trying to win a game. And when I coach now and I don't see kids working hard, I'm like, how do you not want to just go out there and try to win? Like, come on, let's go. Like, I can't grasp that. They're like, oh, you know, picking daisies. I mean, they're young. But it was so fun. It was just, I enjoyed it. And I think that's what a lot of us, if we're doing something and not getting the results we want or not happy, I don't think we really enjoy it. And I think it's really important to find something that you love, whatever it may be, if it's soccer or any part, find something you love and go all in, because then you're going to be a different person, and the people surrounding you are going to be different because of how you feel and that you're enjoying it.
I love that so much, Lil. I mean, it just really comes down to passion, you know, and no matter what it is, as long as you follow that, then you're going to have success.
I mean, Mitch, when I hear about passion a lot, I always bring up Pia Sunhaga. So Pia coached Mitzi and I on you were on the national team with her too, but with the Breakers.
Yeah.
Were you with the Breakers, that group with the Breakers, or you after? I think
she was actually at the Charge, and then she went to the Breakers.
Oh, right. Okay.
Then,
you had Pia a ton, but Pia, she loved soccer. And when she stepped out to coach, even when I played against her, you could just feel it. And that's one of the greatest things I love about her as a coach. She literally enjoyed standing on the field. She loved juggling. She loved dribbling around the field. And that's something that was contagious and made you want to go to practice, because someone that loved it so much and you were going to be impacted so positively by that. And I think that was really strong of her coaching. Obviously, she did more than that, but that was the first thing that I noticed so much.
So let's talk about coaches then, Lil, because you've had some really amazing ones throughout your career. Is there one that kind of made a really big impact on you?
Well, I'd have to for the Anson, because he gave me the opportunity. You know, when I was 16, he picked myself, Mia Hamm, and Julie Foudy and Joy Fawcett to join the team when we were so young. So he changed my life, and not by just picking me, but just giving me the opportunity. And then when I joined that national team, it changed my life because I was surrounded by other women that were like me. Mm-hmm. For you guys, I grew up at a time when soccer wasn't popular. I was playing with the boys. There wasn't many girls playing. So everywhere I looked, I was like, oh my gosh, no one looks like me. And then I get this opportunity. And then I played high school bit, but I was still like better than these players. And then I joined the national team, and I'm like, holy cow. Like, these players are good and they're like competitive and they want to rip your head off and they sweat and they laugh and they yell at you. And then you all go back to the hotel and eat together and laugh more. So Anson gave me that start. And I think that was such a, so I'm just so grateful for it. And then I have Tony, who created an environment that was like a family. He instilled like this family unit, and he brought in like more of an imagery and how your mental side of the game can, you know, help you in this, and just created another environment that makes you want to play. And then I talked a bit about Pia and the passion she had for games. So I think, you know, I don't always think there's one coach that impacts you. I think you can take something from all the different coaches you have. And I think you can always find one positive thing from them.
Right. I know it's hard to always pick one. So for this next one, which player or players really made an impact on you from a leadership standpoint?
Yeah, well, that's easy. Carla Overbeck and Julie Foudy. I mean, they're the two of the best captains I've ever been on a team with. And they were both different. And I think that's why they were so effective together on our team in the 90s. Carla had her way of reaching every player. And when you stepped on the field with Carla, you felt that Carla had your back no matter what. I mean, no matter what you did. I can remember making a bad pass and putting my head down, and Carla would be yelling, "Lil, we need you." And I'm like, oh my God, Carla needs me. Get out of my head. Like, let's go. You know, and then she'd be the first one to say, yeah. Like if she saw Mitzi sticking hard, she's like, yeah, Mitzi, you get him. You know, and she fired you up, and you felt that she had her back always. So that's a huge leader. And then you got Julie Foudy, who was always just passionate and loud in a way that was so great. She was always talking on the field. She always wanted the ball. So if you got the ball, you always knew that you could always pass it to Foudy because she wanted it. So the comfort of her on the field was incredible. And just her intellect as well of, you know, making a difference not only on the field, but off the field as well. So those two really made a huge impact on my life and still do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes, two very amazing leaders. And I was curious who you were going to say, and those were the two that I figured you were going to. So it's kind of interesting. Was there ever a time, because you had so much success throughout your career, but was there ever a time that you doubted yourself?
You know, I think there's always times when you head out to the field, or more so practice, that you're like, oh, or after practice, like, oh, I stink today. And then you kind of get over it. But I think the one time that really I had a longer period was after I came back after I had a kid. And so I had my daughter when I was 37, and I decided to come back. So late in my life, but also late in my playing career. And I remember coming back into camp, and I was nervous, and my touch wasn't great, and everything I did, I just felt like I was so tense, and it was really hard. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, I had been out for like a year. So then you also are wondering, like, what's wrong with me? Like, I was there, why am I not in there? So that took some time to get over a bit. And I don't know if I really got back to my, you know, where I felt great, but I played professionally during that time too, and I felt better at that level. So it was really a tough kind of road there to get back to where I felt completely confident.
Well, I felt like you bounced right back. So
that's kind of, thank you.
Yeah. Having been on the national team for so many years, what kind of a perspective did that give you on the various dynamics of teamwork and chemistry?
Well, first off, that you're never alone, and that you have people there to help. And I think that dynamic of being at the highest level, where we're all competing against each other to be on this team, but then also having to find a way to come together to be successful is a crazy dynamic. And that's at any sport, I mean, or a job in itself. So I think the culture on our team was so good, and where we had the expectation that we wanted to be the best in the world as a country, as a team, that the individual successes were second nature. So if you wanted our team to be successful, you had to put other things aside. If you were worried about getting the paper that day, you weren't thinking about that. You were seeing what you could do to be better to help your team win. Because if your team wins, then you win. And I think some players these days think if the team wins, then oh, so what? If the team loses, then then I'd still played well. But it wasn't like that. It was reverse. It was like if the team wins, I win. And players need to start thinking that ahead of their individual successes. And I think that's what that national team taught me so much is we need the team to be successful.
I feel like that's always been the case. And the people that don't buy into the team, they just kind of, for whatever reason, don't personally mold and have their own individual success. It's like either you buy in to what it is or you're just going to kind of phase out.
Exactly. Well, because you have to. I mean, because there's not going to be a spot for that for someone's own agenda. And obviously we all are, I mean, you guys are all, if you're a part of something, you want to be the best you can be. But then in the sense, it's just still about the growth and the success of the team.
You named a lot of things throughout this interview, but if you can, and maybe you can't, you can name more than one. Do you have a favorite thing about playing?
Oh gosh. See, no wonder Michelle went like, oh, Mitzi,
I
this is
know,
hard.
sorry.
The favorite thing about playing, I mean, it goes back to the people.
Yeah.
The people, I mean, and each group of, the teams, if you took the national team cycle of World Cup and Olympic teams, they were similar, but they were different. And different people came in and impacted it in different ways. And you connected with different people and learned more about others. So the people is the huge thing. And I think the other one other thing is that everything mattered that you did. And I think with the national team, what I learned is that people felt that. And even sometimes if you were a reserve player to a starter, I think for the majority of the time, the reserves felt like they mattered. Or if you were a young player and the veteran player, you felt like you were mattered. And I think that is real important because we all go through that cycle. We all are a young player and we become a veteran and are reserved to starter. Or so knowing that, you make sure that those players know. And I think on the national team, I think we tried, and I think for the most part, we all felt like we were a part of that. And I think that's a big, important thing.
If you could go back and change something or a couple things, what would it be?
I wouldn't change a lot, maybe a couple of hairstyles. Maybe right about now as well. I don't know if I would change anything. I think the road I had was great. The only one thing I would change was meeting my husband a lot earlier and having my kids earlier so they could be more of a part of it. Because my second was like, did I ever go to one of your games? I'm like, no, I was done with, I would love to have them a part of that more so than my oldest did on a couple trips. But that would have been kind of cool. But then things wouldn't end out the way they are now, so I'm happy with the way everything is.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear you say that. What motivated you to be the best?
Oh gosh. I think I just loved it. I loved it. When I stepped out on any field, it didn't have to be soccer. I wanted to make an impact. And it wasn't just for my own, like, I didn't want people to be like, oh, look at her. It was more so I wanted to win. I just wanted to win. And that's as plain as simple. And I think that's just the bottom line is when the good to great players is the great ones always want to win, and they're finding ways that they continue to be better to make that happen.
When it's all said and done, because I know when we're in it, it's very difficult, but like years after your career, when you look back on it, can you maybe put your finger on what maybe was your key to success? Like what made you so good?
Hard work.
Yeah.
I there's all of us, me, you, Mitz, anyone on the national team, to have a more than just a year or two on the team, to be there longer, it takes a lot of hard work. And I'm not going to say sacrifices. I would just say commitment to what you want to do. And I think that is the underlining thing. We all worked hard that maintained on that team for a while, and that was important to do that.
The game has grown so much, right? What would you still like to see happen for the women's game?
Well, what I would love is not to have these conversations about it anymore.
Yeah,
I
right.
would love to not to be like, oh, we're fighting over this or we're fighting over. I would love just to be like, we're just talking about, oh, players are now we're starting to talk about it. U.S. players are playing in England, playing profession. They're on loan. It just becomes, part of our conversation. I think that would be so fun. In corporations, it wasn't like, oh, we're trying to win these corporations over. I want corporations to be like, oh, this is a great product, and we're gonna, put it out there for, our audiences and our communities. And so I think that would just be too great. Just not having to have these discussions about equal pay or just pay in general or opportunities. So that would be great to just sit around a bar if you're sitting there at the dining room table and talking about, oh, did you see so and so played here and so played there, and just have it like we do about men's sports.
I think it's coming one day soon.
It's
We're
moving.
going in that direction. Maybe by the time that your kids are playing on the national team.
Yeah.
Hopefully before then, but I'm just saying. Um, so Lil, you've got more experience, more international experience than anyone
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
How did that help you write your book, Powerhouse?
Yeah. Well, like I talked about earlier in this whole thing, we couldn't do anything alone. And I think the book, I co-authored it with John and Lynette Gillis, who I met in Texas when I lived there. And they're the business and educational side. So the book is about teamwork and helping teams and organizations be more successful. And so we created the title Powerhouse, and it's all about the success of the national team. So Mitzi, it's about what you've done on the team and what we've done to make the national team so successful. Because if you look at the U.S. News national team, it is the most successful women's soccer team ever, probably one of the most successful teams ever. We've never been below third place except for one tournament. And that's like, I don't even know how many tournaments that is now, 15, 13 tournaments. We're always in the top three. So I think I've used what I learned on that team and the people and created this book and, show what you can do to help your organizations be successful. Each chapter, we interview one of the players, one of my former teammates, and they share about leadership. I mean, none of it's like rocket science. Leadership, communication, selecting team, mentality, culture, foundation, all the stuff that you need to come together correctly to be successful. I think the national team has done it for so many years that it's a great lesson for people to take on, to see what they can do for their organizations.
Well, I can't think of anybody better to write that book, and I can't wait to read it now. So where can we get it, Lil?
Amazon, or you can just email me at Kristine Lilly at Gmail, and I can sign one and send one to you.
I can't wait. So what else are you doing right now?
Just finished coaching. I run like a small, you want to say club or academy with 6 teams, and I coach one of them and help do all the curriculum and training for all of them, and public speaking, signing books, and doing whatever I can to help. I'm just trying to help people.
Well, you have always helped me so much, Lil, throughout my playing career. I am so lucky to have played with you and alongside you, and to sit there in 1999 and watch you save that goal off the line. You gave us an opportunity to start that first league, to play with you in the Boston Breakers, and to just learn from you what it takes to be the best, as far as a leader and a person. And your work ethic is it's very admirable. And, I can't wait to see what you do for your daughters, and what you teach them through soccer and just through life. So thank you so much for being on with us. You are a true example of hard work and just an amazing all around person. So thanks, Lil.
Oh, thanks, Mitzi. I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys, for hanging with us.